Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathsala. We are going to discuss globalization, cross-border education and MOOCs. This presentation is part of your paper, Media and Globalization. In this lecture, we shall briefly touch upon the WTO GATS and its four modes of operation of trade and education services within which cross-border supply, including online learning, falls. Recent developments in massive open online courses, MOOCs, fit into the agenda of Mode 1 delivery of GATS. Thus is cross-border delivery. We shall discuss on the origin and status of MOOCs, including its pedagogy and adaptive model, followed by some of the issues and concerns relating to MOOCs in developing countries, more particularly in India. The emergence of General Agreement on Trade and Services, GATS, under WTO framework, the World Trade Organization framework in 1995, furthered the agenda of free market economy and global trade. Insofar as education is concerned, there are four modes of delivery, and we are concerned here about Mode 1, that is cross-border supply of education through open and distance learning and online. This implies supply of education services from the territory of one country to that of another and vice versa. The service crosses the border, neither the buyer nor the seller. And delivery takes place through all the possible electronic and digital media, including modes of distance education, online learning, electronic mail, telephone, television, DVD, etc. The transaction or the sale of education services, that is degrees, takes place in a distance, largely through the web. Signatories to the service of GATS must allow all countries to have access to its population of overseas educational services with due respect to clauses of most favored nations and transparency, these two clauses. Developments within media and technology, as also within web-based delivery, has resulted in MOOCs, massive open online courses, which use Mode 1 delivery of GATS and which uses all possible technological pedagogical developments and affordances to offer largely credit-based courses overseas, that means all over the world. We have focused this lecture exclusively on MOOCs. During the past 1.5 centuries, there have been significant developments in the discourse on equality of education opportunities, out of classroom education, and open education or open learning. Though distance learning in its earliest forms dates back to 1830s, it is the establishment of the British Open University in 1969 which opened up education and open access universities. In India, the first such attempt was the establishment of the Andhra Pradesh Open University APOU, which was renamed as BRAOU in 1982, and the Indira Gandhi National Open University IGNOU in 1985. Joe Siemens in 2013 noted that the trend of open education continues through the MOOCs of today, which aims at expanding educational opportunities to large numbers. MOOCs have become so popular globally that in 2012, the New York Times declared the year as the Year of MOOCs. As the acronym suggests, MOOC comprises of four components. Massive because the courses are open to anyone from the globe, those who have access to web or the internet. At times, course enrollment has gone beyond 200,000. Therefore, unlike the time-space limitation of distance education or the open university education, MOOC doesn't have any such restriction, and therefore there is massive enrollment in such courses. It is open because the courses are generally open to all students who can access the courses and take part in interaction without paying fees. One may need to pay a fee if course credit is required. Most of the cases, though, the courses may not have an open license and therefore are protected. This is also online because the courses are offered on the web, therefore online. One needs to have a broadband internet access to study through these online courses. Finally, these are courses because the courses are available under various platforms by various universities They are generally credit-based courses which have start and end deadlines. Courses involve interaction, assignments, and of course, largely video lectures. There may be links to other web-based resources as part of the course. The course completion generally leads to a certificate, and the MOOCs course credits may also be transferred to a degree program. One is doing face-to-face or online within the same university. The past courses are also available online. The first course, the MOOCs course, the term coined by Deb Cormier on connectivism and connective knowledge, that was offered in 2008 at the University of Manitoba independently as also within the certificate program and emerging technologies. Two leading MOOCs theorists, George Siemens and Stephen Downes, taught this course. There were 24 credit-based students, though the open online version included 2,200 students. The course was translated into 6 languages: Chinese, German, Hungarian, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. This type of MOOC was termed as CMOOC. We have discussed this a little later. What is CMOOCs? Much before this, the MIT had in 2000 already opened up about 2,000 courses free to the public. However, other universities started offering MOOCs, not-for-profit edX of MIT and Harvard University, commercial startup Coursera of Stanford University, non-profit Future Learn of British Open University, which are very popular. The Stanford University courses are called XMOOCs. Subsequently, Sebastian Thrun, who started the standard XMOOC through the Stanford XMOOC through the course on artificial intelligence in 2011, about 160,000 students in 190 countries. The startup Udacity, which is also widely used platform like the Coursera and edX. The initial developments in open education vis-a-vis MOOCs can be timelined as follows. 2007, Open Education Momentum and OER, Open Content, Open Course Software, MIT Courseware 2002, British Open Learn 2006. 2008, CMOOCs, this is a connectivity MOOC, then Khan Academy, backed by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Google, not-for-profit. 2009, P2P, University by Hewlett Foundation and Shuttleworth Foundation. 2010, Udemy, which is a for-profit organization. 2011, XMOOC of Stanford. 2012, MIT, edX, Udacity. 2013, Future Learn. A direct relationship in this development is that OC and OSS led to OER, which later led to CMOOCs, XMOOCs to Future Learn. Except P2PU, all other chairs charge a fee. Today, a large number of universities in many parts of the globe are offering MOOCs based on the features of open access and scalability. In India, a 2016 regulation of the University Grants Commission makes up to 20% of credits compulsory for universities to offer to students in any degree program to be taken through MOOCs offered through the one-window national platform called SWAYAM. Basically, MOOCs can be categorized into 2 types, CMOOCs and XMOOCs. In case of CMOOCs, the first MOOC was based on this, that is the principle of connectivism and constructivism, offered in 2008 at the University of Manitoba by George Siemens and Stephen Downes. These courses trace on navigating a variety of resources and through largely student-student interaction. In case of XMOOCs, the latter part of the MOOCs were termed XMOOCs since the offer in 2011 at Stanford University by Peter Nobrink and Sebastian Thrun, since these are based on the traditional approach of more fixed and individualized pathways. These comprise of video lectures, automated quizzes, and some form of interaction. The table on your screen provides a comparison between CMOOCs and XMOOCs. Since the latter created XMOOCs have followed a more traditional and static approach, and therefore, not surprisingly, the creators of CMOOCs have castigated this latter business model completely, disregarding the earlier experiments in educational pedagogy and educational organization vis-a-vis the CMOOCs, which provide open education resources, like for instance, small web-based tutorials generally offered by MIT OpenCourseWare and Khan Academy. Those may not be courses for credits, rather asynchronous learning resources addressing specific learning deficiencies. The idea of MOOCs has been customized further by universities to address the diversified needs of their students. For example, in the University of Nottingham in UK, a similar platform called NOOCs, Nottingham Open-Line Courses, has been developed to support both faculty and students for academic development and employment of the students. Aimed at supporting knowledge exchange across different contexts and cultures, the platform uses Moodle to rope in the global community of Nottingham to engage in this knowledge and skill development exercise. The University of Delhi School of Open Learning also started a similar exercise some time back. The MOOCs have exploited the latest development in the web and digital technologies to further the cause of educational access and hopefully educational inquiry. The contributions of MOOCs in this complex situation of global competition today can be summarized as follows. 1. It operates under the domain of social networking. 2. It brings in acknowledged global experts in a field of study and makes openly available to anyone willing to study through MOOCs. 3. It brings together diversified, massive groups of learners to both synchronous and asynchronous interactions impossible through any other platform and by any traditional university. Next, it puts students to self-regulation and self-organization, and even at the same time provides opportunities to learn from each other and move toward the set goals. It also brings together a community of scholars and professionals who share common interests and who eventually develop professional learning networks. Moreover, it also leads to development of learning networks at the national, regional, and local levels based on common professional interests, language groups, technology enthusiasts, and levels of education. It also augments the notion and practice of openness in education. Further, it provides for a course with credits, which can be transferred to one's mainstream credit basket free, or that at times one has to pay for acquiring the credit course, thereby contributing to course credits, leading to a certificate or degree. We have noted so far that while MOOCs emphasized on creation, creativity, autonomy, social network learning, and traversing through networks and constructing knowledge, the MOOCs stressed on traditional pedagogic and fixed pedagogic and technological artifacts. Knoll in 2015 outlines 5 pedagogical approaches for MOOCs and 2 dimensions of context and learning, further divided into 12 dimensions as a classification schema for MOOCs. First, let us discuss the pedagogical approaches. The first is associative. The pedagogic design is based on operant conditioning of stimulus and response. Second, technologies facilitate repetitive drill and practice and e-assessment. The example is the British Open University course on Chinese. Third, cognitive. Learners are encouraged to experience the stimuli. The example is Coursera course on songwriting. Fourth, constructivist. Prior knowledge of the learner is brought in to give meaning to what is being learned. Active learning and engagement in activities, problem-based learning, and inquiry learning are encouraged. The example is UK OU course on learning design. There is also situative. Based on situated learning, the stress is on contextual engagement and dialogic learning. There is either actual or surrogate representation of the actual work environment. For example, the Coursera course on clinical neurology. It's also connectivist. Learning is designed across community of practice and through networks. This is what is called networked learning. The critical reflection is encouraged, so also provision for personalized learning environment connected through cloud computing. For example, the MOOC on connectivism and connective knowledge by Joe Siemens and Tiffany Downers. Knoll also presented a 12-dimensional classification for MOOCs, 3 under context and 9 under learning. The context is open, the degree of openness, massive, how large the course is, and diverse, how diverse is the student cohort. The next is learning, multimedia, extent of use, communication, extent of communication among students, collaboration, ways of collaborating among students, reflection, reflection on action, and application to context, learning pathway, that is possibility for students creating individual pathways and through personalized learning environments. There is quality assurance through peer review of the course to assure further quality. And of course, there is certification if certificate is issued for completion or participation, formal learning, if MOOC is linked to any formal education. And finally, autonomy, extent of student control over their learning, working individually, though of course with tutor support. She also presents 7 C's of learning design for MOOCs. Conceptualize, which includes the vision, leading to 4 C's as activities. Create, communicate, collaborate, consider, which together lead to the 6th C, combine, which synthesizes all the above. And all of these lead to the final C, that is consolidate, which is the stage of implementation. In a recent work, Park, Jung and Reeves presented in 2015 an input process output model for MOOCs. Design. Inputs, these include aptitude, cultural habits and motivation for enrollment. Processes, these include opportunity to learn, effort, ability to understand instruction, quality of learning design, support and online presence and perseverance. The outcomes include knowledge and skills, higher order learning and social networking. What this discussion suggests is that instead of present widely used model of MOOCs, the online courses can incorporate a variety of learning designs and learning pedagogies into the technology pedagogy content design, which must stress on high order learning, individual control of navigation through the choiced pathways, engagement in activities and reflective tasks, collaboration in the learning community, and a variety of authentic assessment tasks, including e-portfolios. MOOCs have many ways contributed to democratization of learning, provision of equality of educational opportunities, economy of scale, and free courses for the interested and the motivated learners. The drivers to MOOCs have been globalization, student demand, lifelong learning, personalized technology, and of course, economic models. However, at the same time, the current MOOCs have fallen into the trap of standardization and McDonaldization of learning, forfeiting the deeper learning engagements that the 21st century learning expects. There is hardly any possibility of higher order critical learning and learning for innovation, and certainly this is not happening. The current SWAYAM national platform-based MOOCs with 4 quadrants, text, video, lecture, quizzes, and additional learning resources also falls into this trap or shortcoming. There is also the issue of student fees, credit transfer to mainstream degree study, certification, and its value in the job market. Most of the MOOCs offerings are by for-profit orientations, whereby a few like SWAYAM in India, which has full public funding, needs to struggle for its wider and extensive use to reap the economy of scale. As already experienced, problem is the rate of dropout, which is very high. However, it has been argued that while most might join to learn, rather aspire for a certificate or a degree to make up for their learning deficiency or for further professional growth, this very well contributes to lifelong learning and continuing professional development in various professions. Sustainability of the courses and the initiative has cropped up as a major issue or concern today. The revenue model is getting weakened day by day, and those which are for profit are also experiencing the pinch for further sustenance on economic grounds. The most important problem globally, and more so in India and other developing countries, is the reskilling of the teachers to first engage in technology-enabled education and then either develop or teach through MOOCs. In the absence of a continuing professional development regime, especially in India, coupled with lack of professional learning pathways and lack of interest by most of the professional associations, this de-skilling and reskilling will remain the major arbiter for success of MOOCs and therefore needs serious consideration. Coupled with this is the issue of copyright, IPR, plagiarism and the use of OERs, which needs immediate attention. Friends, in this lecture, we discuss the emergence of MOOCs based largely on the Mode 1 delivery of the Trade in Education Services under WTO GATS, its development, passing over the interactive C MOOCs to static A MOOCs today, X MOOCs today, the various pedagogic models of MOOCs, touching upon the Indian MOOCs platform SWAM. Critical examination of the lecture may lead to a surprising conclusion that these courses serve the neoliberal free market stance of later globalization by making these as customized export-oriented courses. However, these courses also address the issue of access and equity and educational access and opportunities. These are immense pedagogic possibilities which may be explored in the future MOOCs design. So friends, I hope you enjoyed the lecture. For more details, please read the e-text of this lecture properly and also attempt the questions given at the end of the e-text. Thank you very much indeed.